It's 6:30 a.m. and I want to take you camping with me to Edaan National Park. Also, I have something very important to tell you at the end. Anyways, big bikes in big city. The reality is that you start and stop all the time. If you live in a city with constant traffic jam, your bike will overheat and it can potentially damage quicker your engine. I think scooters are the best option for getting around in traffic jams. But I think Bangkok is a nice city for riding bikes. Cars behave like cars and bikes behave like bikes. And tuk-tuks don't do crazy stuff, even in traffic jam, which is nice in Southeast Asia. This is my first motovlog and I have no experience filming while on the road. The setup started moving around, so I had to stop. The problem was that every screw started to come loose. I started to worry because it could have meant the end of the motovlog. I used thread locker, which is this red sauce. It's like a glue that secures every thread in place. I think that little Leatherman is definitely my favorite tool. It has solved so many situations. I used to have all of these tools separately, and then someone bought me the Leatherman. It was definitely a great gift. I thought you might be curious about what I take on these trips. Basically, you should be able to access any crucial part of the motorcycle. So I brought some screws, 8mm wrenches, a variety of sockets, thread locker, tape. I love going into the jungle for dirt bike trips. I learn a lot about bikes through hard enduro, but this is my first ride on the road and I have to admit that feels great. I was getting late, so I decided to eat lunch while riding. Hey, it's not that bad, except for the fact that every time you eat a fry, you're shaking the devil's hand. For the ice cream, it was harder and eventually started to melt. But back to the Ténéré. I'm amazed. I love the engine. Its build feels safe, it has torque, and honestly, it's very playful. The thing that really amazes me is how many similarities the Ténéré has with the dirt bike. Even if it's an adventure bike, steering, suspension, and peg position, it makes me feel like this bike could be the reason for me transitioning from enduro to adventure riding. Also, it's not an option to buy a bike that can't satisfy my urge to go into the mud. I have to admit that I did not go all in off-road in this trip. I'm not 100% confident with the weight of the bike and the tires. I would need some experimenting to really feel the bike. This bike is double the weight that I'm used to. Fuel range. I got surprised. Don't take my opinion as a baseline, but for me, that Ténéré is a dirt bike. And having a dirt bike that can go that far is really a game changer for me. I quickly got used to it and really wish it has extra range. Besides, if you're going off-road, you might be happy not carrying a full tank with you. One thing that I love about Thailand is 7-Eleven stores. They're practically everywhere. It's the ultimate pit stop. You can find ATM, gas, internet, food, water, everything you need. We're just 40 minutes away from the camping site. From now on, we enjoy turns and green views. And now heading to my camping spot. Do you guys see the greenish stuff on the road? It tends to be super slippery. And when your back wheels start slipping, you have very little time to react. To get out of it, simply shift one gear up. In my case, I would start in second gear and use the clutch as much as possible to avoid backspin. Et voila. I'm 100% not doing a camping ASMR, but I always like to bring unexpected stuff when I go for a ride. And for this ride, I decided that I wanted to look as French as possible. It rained heavily, and I forgot that all my gear was outside. It is completely soaked now. Anyways, it's not a big deal. Quick shower and let's get ready. This is what I use for leg protection. I use those sleeves under my knee pad to help me with friction. Then put the knee pads on, the pants, and lastly the boots. Filling up the cami bag, it's so frustrating. That's the part that I like the least, but it's so useful. I'm really curious to see how hard it is to wheelie this bike. Yeah, Conclusion, I'm not Paul Terrace. Timing is so different. It feels like I need to decompose the movement in 2 parts. I just need some hours. I can see myself doing stupid stuff with this bike. Thank you for making it this far. Here's the important thing that I wanted to tell you. I'm obsessed with hard enduro. It's something that I can't control. So I decided to join Romagnacs 2024. It's one of the most hardcore enduro races in the world. So subscribe and I explain you how are we gonna get there.